Hey everyone, today I'm in Chester, Massachusetts. Across the track there is the train museum. For now it's closed, but the caretaker will allow people in the wintertime. The guy allowed me in there earlier today to look around. Although the heat's not on, it's pretty chilly inside of the boxcars. They keep the museum heated though. They have a train show here every year called Chester on Track, where they have a parade lining Main Street here. And last year they were replacing all the railroad ties here along CSX's train tracks. And as a result, they had all their machinery for ripping up the ties parked here. It wasn't here for the train show, but because it was already here, CSX had a few guys come out and they allowed people to go inside all their machines to look at them, which was nice. But after going to that museum right there, the guy who takes care of it 2 years ago told me about this roundhouse down here. I've been to it a few times. It's abandoned. It's been abandoned now for probably at least 40 years. It hasn't been used as a roundhouse for probably close to 80 years now. But after they tore up the turntable and everything, they were using it for storage. That's why most of the garage doors no longer exist. There's just 2 doors. They tore up all the tracks. There was a huge turntable. And this road is very slippery. This right here is basically a big parking lot. This is not the train company's property, because if you look on Google Maps, it shows this is a road and it turns around here. But if people come up here for the parade, this entire area, all the way down the tracks, is lined with cars in the summertime. Also down here, there's a coal tower from when they had the steam trains. That thing is still standing, but they took down the ladders going up inside it so people wouldn't get hurt. After a short walk alongside the tracks, come down here. The roundhouse is off to the left, and that big tower right in front of me is where the coal used to be. There used to be a track running through that. There is a lot of really slippery ice today. I do not have the traction to be walking on that stuff. We recently had a rainstorm and it all froze in this area. You can see all the footprints here. A ton of people come out to see this place. There's a lot of other videos of this, but you can kind of make out where the turntable would have been. This used to have the capacity to hold 6 locomotives, but years ago they put bricks over the front of it just so they could use it as storage. You can even make out the dip in the ground. You can see it's kind of round where the table used to be. Let's get over here and look at it, then we'll go take a look at the coal tower. There's really not much to see with that. So I think it's a lot better coming out here in the winter time, because in the summer there's always a lot of people in this thing, and there's ticks because there's really high grass, especially in the summertime. This side of the building is completely dilapidated. The other side's actually in good shape. The train company put a whole bunch of these 55-gallon drums in here. And I have to admit, a lot of the graffiti in here is pretty cool. So some of it is actually artwork. You don't see these windows anymore. Stacked glass. You can tell vandals have been throwing rocks at them. And actually, look at the ceiling. I can't tell whether that was from steam trains or somebody lit fire to the building, all that soot. But I assume it's the steam trains because if you notice right above the doors, you have these lines directly above the doors where the smokestacks of the trains used to be. And just look at those beams, that is massive. The beams in this place. You see a light here, it looks like water runs down right there. Or at one point it did. This place is like a skating rink. Step with caution, there's gonna be nails everywhere. There was last time I checked this place out. Especially in an area like this, I'm surprised these barrels are still here. I would have figured people would have taken them for burn barrels. Lots of small trees growing in here. You can see spring is going to happen soon. There's buds on that one. Giant hole in the roof, just from lack of maintenance. It's been abandoned for such a long time. This back wall just completely fell down, although it was probably helped by vandalism, destroying it. Look at that, there's a little chipmunk in here. And you can tell with this, that is a lot of freezing rain. And that's what we had for the past week. Tons of freezing rain. You can see the stabilizers that are running through the building. Well, people were in here recently with graffiti. I see a lot of new stuff since I was in here last spring when I came up to look at the parade. I'm scaring away a lot of chipmunks. Okay, this is the other side. The roof is in a lot better condition, but that main beam supporting it looks like it's just about to topple over if we had a big snowfall. Yeah, nobody's been in here for a few days because you can tell by the footprints. They're a little bit old. Like this really tall graffiti, people must have brought really tall rollers or ladders in here. Because again, this is in the middle of nowhere. People won't get caught doing this kind of stuff. The place is so just dilapidated. And this wood, this is the creosote soaked lumber. So it'll be around forever, just like the railroad ties. That picture on the wall is pretty cool. Whoever did that has a lot of skill. This reminds me of going in that train tunnel in Clinton, Massachusetts. The extreme amount of spray cans. Well, that's a good home for chipmunks. I see a few of them hanging out inside this pile. Let's see what we have over here. A lot of very talented graffiti. Up top, you can see the windows, all the soot. And we're gonna go out the other side now. Because I want to show where the river crossing used to be. Because when this was built, a lot of the workers were local and they just simply walked to work and there used to be a bridge over the small river. Let's see if we can actually access that and hopefully walk around the back of the building. This is a place you wouldn't want to be walking in the summertime because of the ticks. You can see there's all kinds of remnants in the woods here from the building. It looks like the back part is more recent because it's made out of cinder blocks. Today is a very cold day. I didn't wear a heavy jacket because the parking lot from this place is only a 5-minute walk. But if you're over here on the main road, looking over at this building, right across right there, that square thing next to the road is a set of stairs leading up to nothing, because there was a pedestrian bridge here going across the street or across the river to this place, so employees wouldn't have to walk all the way around to a traffic bridge or a train bridge. There's barely any graffiti on the outside of the building since the roadway is right there and they don't want to get caught doing it. Although in the summer when this is grown in, you wouldn't be able to see it anyways, so it's a surprise to me that there's no graffiti on the back. The people doing the graffiti probably want it to be seen, and that's their reasoning behind it. We can start walking back up now. Just wanted to check out the back of the building here. There's one lonely smiley face on the back. I think this kind of place here should have been preserved. But it is nice that the train company allows people to come over to this and take pictures. Just gonna go ahead, cut through the woods, and get to that coal tower. There's actually nope. Somebody stole them in the past year. There was a few light fixtures hanging on the back of the building. Don't see them today. Like last year there was a few of those light fixtures, but they actually had the rain guard still attached to them. A lot more pricker bushes back here. And here's evidence that people are breaking with rocks. You see, look, there's even a rock still stuck in that one. Just smashing them. Lots of vandalism going on with this. Now just around back, bunch of deer tracks along with some people. It looks like only the deer come up here to see this place. Not even people go near this. Because you can't really go inside it, except a small portion of the downstairs. This thing used to hold a lot of coal, and the train used to pull up right underneath it. See where that big rock is? There's a little space there that you can try to get down there. There's really not much unless you were trying to survive the cold weather. You can see the staircase going up there. Most of the planks are wood and rotten, but I'm figuring the train company removed the bottom section because they didn't want people like holding onto the railing, getting up there and getting hurt. Now down here, there's a tire. You can see these beams, how they're spaced the right amount. The rail would have gone on top of these to get filled. Not exactly sure where the coal would have came out of. You can see a few light fixtures up there for working at night. And this here, still a lot of coal dust. I don't think we're gonna see a train go by. A freight train passed me on my way in. See here, there's a little staircase. You can go down inside here, but there's not much in there. I'm gonna actually go in and show there. Just got my lights on. Let's see. I went down in here about a year ago just to show. Yeah, you see, there's a light fixture, but nothing else. This is all there is, this tiny little space. Nothing goes over here, but if you had to survive, I guess, okay. I better get down there. Because, look up there. Gotta show that. All the way up inside of the coal tower. I actually just saw a few beer cans in there. Some people must go in there. All right. Time to walk back. Walking back to the parking lot. There's a big culvert right here. Nothing special. It's just made out of concrete. See the water pouring out. Appears to be 8 feet wide, about 10 feet tall. And you see the train company marks their railroad ties. They paint them white if there's a culvert underneath. They paint them blue, usually for a water main, and yellow for gas line. If you see an orange one, that usually means they're gonna replace the tie. You see the river starting to freeze up. That's what you call frazzle ice, that mushy, slushy stuff that's flowing in the middle. Look at that train rail. That's been down there for such a long time. You can see the trees starting to grow around it. It's actually very cold out here today. Right now it's 8 degrees Fahrenheit. Overnight was negative 10 degrees Fahrenheit in this area. But right now I'm in the sun. Doesn't feel too bad. I want to go and make some films of the Chester granite train arches. Down the tracks, maybe another 10 miles, the train goes over this gigantic stone arch bridge made out of granite. Like it's a real stone arch bridge. It doesn't have any kind of reinforcements other than the bricks. And they actually made it into a walking trail and park. 2 of them are abandoned. The train doesn't use them anymore. It's open to the public to walk across them. And another 2 of them, the train still uses, along with a walking trail next to it. I'm now going to go across the street over by the museum because I want to show you this gigantic saw in the woods that they used to use for cutting granite blocks 100 years ago. And that's how they built all the bridges. See these giant piles here of the screws? They're replacing the spikes with these big screws so the train can go faster up around the corners, and also to make it safer. Last year when CSX had a few of their guys here allowing people to look inside of their machines, they were actually handing out a bunch of those things to kids to keep as a souvenir. Okay, let's go check out the old sawmill. This place was actually really grown in with trees, and they just trimmed it last year. It was impossible to get to before they made this trail. And once again, it looks like only the deer have been out here recently to look at this. This thing right here is a big boiler standing up. Here are some of the granite blocks this saw actually cut. And you can see the holes where they drilled down to blast. And you can see all the train rails because the train used to have access here to back in. It's a massive 8-foot blade for cutting the stone. Giant counterweight. This originally ran on steam. That's why the boiler's over here. This was originally a steam-powered saw, but they converted it over to electric motors before they completely abandoned it. I'm going to go over and show some of the mechanics on that. Here we have all these blocks this thing cut, and it looks like there used to be a building there. See the nice granite foundation. And obviously a train doesn't have a width this big. They had like a special dolly. You can tell these granite pieces used to be huge. Look at how reinforced that thing is. And if I get right in here, these are the tiny little train wheels that would go on that track. Okay. There's some kind of drive line coming up here that used to turn something. But there's the gearbox coming off of this gigantic electric motor. You see the power coming in. Big motor went through this gearbox. In here you have a drive line, another gearbox, and the power went over to the saw. I think we can actually even read this tag. How many horsepower is that? It's a little bit difficult to read. There's another big motor right there laying on its side. The bottom of the counterweight is all rusted out. But anyways, this place is awesome. Yeah, there's the drive line. Let's get a look at the trains they have over here at the museum. Right here's an old steam train. Looks like a lot of the stuff has been removed. Over here is a caboose that you can actually pay money to spend the night in. There's a little wood-burning stove in there, a few beds. Now this I'm really happy they painted. When I came here last May for the train show, this thing was so rusty you could not even read it. But they repainted, at least the top of it anyways. By the looks of it, they might not be finished. This museum was the old train station, and the train company forced them to move it or they would tear it down. This building was originally 50 feet to the left, right alongside the main line. Ton of old ties that they ripped up. So this museum is filled with a whole bunch of pictures, and there's history all over the walls. These cars here are also museums, filled with all kinds of historical stuff. Over here in the summertime is a restaurant where they serve food. Here's an old crossing signal from years ago when they must have had this opened. Yeah, you can see they obviously moved these here just for show, because they have Boston 127 and 122 right next to each other. This fire hydrant here must be so old. You can see right here, obviously, a building like this that's over 100 years old wouldn't have a basement like this. So this proves it was moved on to a new foundation when they saved it. This is that place I was talking about. Maybe there's directions on here. This is what I was showing earlier. These stairs leading up to nothing. There used to be a walking bridge over to, that's the Roundhouse, from the other side of the river. What guardrail installer thought this was a good idea? They're covering up the most important 4-inch hose on this. It's right next to it. They can't use this hydrant now.